Wednesday morning in the city of Lagos. Good morning and welcome to Today in the News. You're in Vanguard Live. My name is Ololade Adeomi. I'll flip into our newspapers for today, starting with Vanguard as usual. Major headline on Vanguard says terrorist on rampage in Kwara, Katsina, Kaduna, many abducted. Demand a 300 million naira ransom for seven abducted in Kwara. Kidnapped photojournalist in Kaduna. Bloodbath averted. Three IEDs uncovered in Mashebu local government area of Niger State. Top banner it says probe. Police clear six vigilantes in Kwara. Nigeria's democracy facing existential threats, says Atiku. US operation in Venezuela undermined international law, says the UN. 5.36 million electricity customers remain without meters, says NEC. Stop justifying violence. Catholic pontiff tells political leaders. Oyo suspends monarch over illegal mining. Rivers. You can't cry foul now. Turaki PDP blast APC over Wiki. I'm fulfilled establishing a world-class varsity, says Afe Babalola. COAS visits IBB Abdul Salami. Governor Bago promises enhanced security. 2025 AFCON, it's Super Eagles Algeria in quarterfinals. Away from Vanguard, a look into the Punch newspaper. Major headline on the Punch says power drain, electricity subsidy nears 2 trillion naira yearly. Consumers pay 1.3 trillion naira for power in 6 months amid outage. Rising electricity subsidy sparks fresh fears. Top banner says a VIP protection crisis. NSCDC moves to recruit 30,000 officers. Recapitalization hurdle. Pension firms hunt for 277 billion naira lifeline. IG deploys newly promoted DIGs, 17 CPs. ADC ticket. Article rejects call to step down. Blast Tinubu. Lower banner. It says 2027. Jonathan pledged active role in PDP, says Turaki. Ekiti poll. Opposition parties threaten boycott over PDP exclusion. And lastly, banditry. Police free six vigilantes arrested by army. Away from that, to look into the Nation newspaper. Major headline on the Nation says student rally support for tax laws as shelf protests plan. Chobana says discos end 570.25 billion naira by end quarter 3 2025. Kwara police exonerate free six vigilante members in Edo. Police cleric under probe over alleged plan to attack Wike. Away from the nation, a look into the Guardian newspaper. Major headline on Guardian says Nigeria's fuel, crude importation concern defies price war. Top banner says US operation in Venezuela undermined international law. Over 150 million Nigerians may become poorer by December 2027. I will step down for no one. Atiku vows. Poor interagency cooperation may stall Joshua's vehicle crash investigation. IGP orders mobilization of withdrawn VIP escorts, deploys DIGs and 17 CPs. APC has no right to complain about Wike, says PDP. Resident Dr. Bika over negotiation begin strike January 12. And lastly, government suspends Oyo monarch over alleged illegal mining. That's what we have on the front pages of the newspapers this morning. Join us after the break for a quick analysis of some of our top stories. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today in the News here on Vanguard Live. My name is Ololade Adeomi. Joining me in the studio today for a quick analysis is Mr. Gbero Olajigbe, Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alert. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you and Happy all New of Year. You there.
Yes, Happy New Year. It's a pleasure having you in our studios today, sir. I'll look into our major story for today. The United Nations has strongly condemned a recent U.S. military operation in Venezuela, stating it undermined fundamental principles of international law. According to the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, the operation, which included airstrikes and the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, violates the core international norm prohibiting the use of force against another state's territorial integrity and political independence. The US, in return, justified the action by accusing Maduro of human rights abuses and criminal activities, but the UN rights officials rejected this rationale. Do you agree with the UN's claim that the US operation undermines international law?
Well, I think the first question is to know the role of the UN. Okay, after condemning it now, what is UN going to do? That is the critical question. And that goes to the root problems that we have in the organization. UN, don't forget that even before UN, there was League of Nations. And it was the failure of League of Nations to prevent the Second World War that led to the creation of UN. And since that time, it initially was able to intervene in crisis zone of the world. But recently, particularly in the last 2 decades, UN has just become a very embarrassing toothless dog because it has failed to address the critical issue of peace in the world, which is, of course, the cornerstone of the creation, the corner basis for which it was created, was to address the issue of peace and security, global peace and security. But you have seen how it has been managed in recent time, that it was grossly incompetent in preventing war between Russia and Ukraine. And of course, the question of that of Palestine and Israel, you see, and it's free fall in all regions of the world. When you look at it, resurgence of global crisis, poorly managed, or at times recklessly ignored, even by the United Nations, without playing any role in ameliorating the situation, even where there is brewing tension. Those are the challenges. Of course, it breached international law, but then who are we going to blame? Who is the enforcer of the law? Who created the court, International Court of Justice? And even the Rome Statute, that is International Criminal Court. So who will bail the cat to even try Trump or any other American soldiers that perpetrated the act? Those are the critical questions, right? We should begin to ask ourselves. Of course, you know recently that International Criminal Court declared Benjamin Netanyahu wanted, and the expectation in the International Criminal Court statute, which is often called the Rome Statute, is that once somebody is declared wanted, if he gets to other country, a member state, which United States is, the responsibility of that state is to arrest the president or whoever is so declared wanted and hand it over to International Criminal Court. But Benjamin Netanyahu was in the United States recently, of course, with the full shares of President Donald Trump. So UN should accept the fact that Trump has replaced the institution. It has become institutions that can hardly be checked by anyone, and is dangerous. In 2017, I wrote a story on Hitlerization, or the spirit of America that was coming out when I profusely diagnosed President Trump at that particular time. It was widely published by 3 papers in 2017. So I did the analysis, and I knew that the world is to enter a stage of crisis, that where one man will become, of course, when I say Hitlerization, you should know what I mean, because we passed through Hitler, which was critical to the Second World War. and every other thing. But that is not the case. The case is that the world has created the loophole that permitted the occupation of Trump. And to the extent that up to now, he doesn't see what he's doing as a wrong thing. But the world is sleeping, and somebody has to be active. And fortunately or unfortunately, Trump is active. And let us be clear that most of this country too, even though the principle of sovereignty should be recognized and maintained, respected, but the fact of it is that sovereignty has collapsed in most of this country, where you have impoverished your people to the extent that Venezuelan currency is worth less than sand that you see on the soil, where poverty has become a very critical condition under which people live. We recognize that there are sanctions and embargoes on Venezuela. But then, if you are with your people and your people are with you, there should be way out. So without internal rumblings at times, it's difficult for external force to just come and ruthlessly capture your president. Look, that is why when I see signals, early warning signals of a possible way that government can collapse, how democracy can die, I will speak it out, but people always clap. For example, if you are mostly in opposition in democracy, to the extent you are happy that you are becoming what do you call it? A one-party state. You will have problem in future. If you don't address that issue, everybody is decamping to your party, and you say that that is good for democracy. That is just like a monkey that is organizing a party because if the farmer is cutting down the trees in the farm, not knowing that it was his house that is being demolished. So it's just like that. When you turn democracy to one-party state, you muscle opposition out of it. You want to be imperially visible as the issue. And such society has no capacity to regenerate itself. It happened in Venezuela to the extent that Maduro bred in our local palace what we call mumu citizens. It was too powerful for a citizen because he has subjugated them using even though not intended, the part of hunger and having election that is not correct. Look, what Maduro should have done, when you know that the world is against you at that particular time, even if it means, is it not better for opposition to have won election than you losing yourself and losing your country and possibly the resources of your country at the end of the day? So it could have even stepped down when you know that because of you, they are imposing sanctions on your country. If I'm talking of before this, and then maybe a sort of semblance of stability or might return, or somebody that is not seen and perceived as an imperial president that is there oppressing his citizens, subjugating them to the extent that the crack was so obvious and a very big red-headed lizard will come in, like we saw last week.
Okay, so let's look at the U.S. Actions. Would you say that their action is justified at all, especially based on the grounds of, human rights abuses like they claim?
I look at what is justifying the world. It's about power. Look, the power dynamics of the world. The world is a very ruthless place. Let me tell you, for example, is the Security Council of United Nations justified? Several decades, several years, we have been talking of reforming that agency of the United Nations. You have permanent representative, including the United States here, that can, no matter the thought of the world, any of the permanent member, can just wake up and veto any decision taken. Do you think that Trump will endorse the United Nations punishment on him or the United States? So it's chicken that has come up to roost. They bred this monster in form of a security council that is never reformed. They were not willing to reform it, and they can't take any action, even against Trump or against the United States, because it's a permanent member, a member of the Security Council that can veto any decision that has been taken. So you see that the world is not fair. So it's not only the United States. So it's dog eats dog. And of course, in the analysis, it's just a baboon monkey arrangement. So baboon will always preside over the monkey, even though when it's the monkey that is working. And you could see the interest of United States. When he was being elected, the United States citizen country people didn't ask him, how are you going to do this thing? He just told them that he's going to focus on the interest of United States. So the interest he has found in Venezuela today is how to get the oil, the resources of Venezuela to harness it and use it to further strengthen America's economy and in its war too, to ensure that the Venezuelans enjoy. So when a country collapses internally, it's no longer about talking of sovereignty. And that is why we plead on a daily basis that Nigeria should not get to a situation where we begin to have an imperial president who care nothing about the opinions of citizens and those who voted and did not vote for him. So when you get to that level, anything can happen. You can see that Trump has become the big daddy of the world to the extent that if anything goes wrong in Nigeria now, you can quickly say that I will tell my daddy for you, like the children used to say. So that is the situation the world has played and gotten itself into. It's a very desperate situation. There are second articles that are written on Trump. I asked a question that time when he came out to disparage the question of the climate change and oppose everything in the name of America at the vestige of at the vestige of this last term. I wrote that article and said, is Trump the American bad weather? So I asked the question and I answered the question in the article. How a single person can just throw spanner in the world wheel. So it is possible. I won't blame them. I won't blame Trump. He's fighting everything he's talking. He says it's in the interest of America. It's not in the interest of America, even though it's stolen from Venezuela and other places. Is the outcome of this thing not good to benefit them? Well, it gets how power is arranged when it comes to the global stage. And I started with a sort of Hitlerization. We have seen it before. We can see it before. Americans have arrested leaders before, even as far back as 1901. Yes. Invaded the country and arrested the leader. And of course, George Bush Sr. did the same thing in just the same day, January 3, 1990, about 26 years ago. I did 26 years ago, 36 years ago. Noriega was captured in Panama, the then president of Panama, taken to America, sentenced to 20 years imprisonment. He was released after 17 years, flown to France to answer another charge and to other place before he eventually died in 1997 or something like that. So that is the color of the world global politics. And if you don't like it, what do you do? The mind is just returning us to the state of nature, where the might was when the might was right. Okay. So in the era we entered into, under democracy and human rights, we are trying to go into an era of where right is the might. But the reverse is the case. And the world have become just mere spectators.
So how can all of this...
So me, I'm not hard on Trump. Rather, I'm even hard on Venezuela. It is a lesson for any leader to ensure that you are able to, through governance, you need to governize your people. Government is about the people and not about you. I will do this, nothing will happen. They ask you to reverse, you make a pronunciation, and your pronunciation becomes law. Who will take it? Who will support you when the external force come to capture you? I said, let it be clear that he was not captured on a platter of gold. They have, like what you say, you disenable network. His network has been disenabled through those sanctions and all those things. They have disconnected his network. Before he was taking, there's embargo on him a lot, on even what this country that is fighting with Ukraine?
Russia.
Yes, Russia. There's embargo on Russia. Russia has oil. Russia could sell its oil market. Russia has been routing oil through Venezuela. So you can see how interest move. Even though it was suffering embargo, it was taking its oil through Venezuela that still has a bit of global economic leverage to sell its oil. And now, why Russia is fighting, why should America do this? It was because he was using Maduro too. So his dog, the word is dog eats dog. So indirectly, he was using Venezuela economic interest of Russia too. So all these things that you see, that people cry international law and everything, America is not committed to obeying any international law. That is not seen as American law. America didn't sign the Rome Statute. The Rome Statute was put in place to punish war criminals. And there's no derogation to the statute when it was put in place. What that translates to is that you can say that declare today, UN through that ICC in Rome can declare a president of any nation wanted for war crime, but it cannot do that to America. It can declare a soldier of any nation wanted, but it cannot do it to any other nation. It can't declare a soldier in United States, no matter the breach of international criminal law, it cannot declare the soldier wanted. And America, the funniest thing is that America is the one that will be pointing out to the International Criminal Court that a war crime has been committed. I'm saying this, the time of power, global power. Nothing is fair at that junction. Nothing is fair in that hemisphere. It's like, I can capture this one. Is it even thinkable for a country, a president of country to say that I want to arrest that other country? So nothing is so fair.
Okay, let's quickly look at our second story because it's most of the main point from the first one. I look into our second story for today. Nigeria's federal government has spent nearly 2 trillion naira on electricity subsidies over a 12-month period from October 2024 to September 2025, according to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. The subsidy arises because electricity tariffs charged to consumers remain below cost-reflective levels, meaning the government must cover the gap between what consumers pay and what costs to generate it. On the other hand, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has also revealed that about 5.36 million electricity customers in Nigeria still do not have electricity meters. What does the nearly 2 trillion naira annual electricity subsidy tell us about the current power policy in Nigeria?
That is better than a government will assist rather than promoting and putting in place good economy, we destroy the economy, render naira, the currency, redundant. That is the flagship of our commerce. We render it redundant, worthless, to the extent that its intrinsic value is nothing to talk about. And then convert its own failure government's economic management failure to what they call subsidy. And look, we are not a thinking nation. Critical thinking is absence in a country. Government is imposing its own failure as subsidy. Failure to manage currency, to strengthen currency against dollar and other currencies of the world, which is the responsibility of government that manages both macro and micro economy. And now say that because of that failure, Naira has dropped in intrinsic value, it's nearly worthless. That failure now is what they are subsidizing. So there is no subsidy anywhere. What they want to again impose on people is their own failure, which have been metrically calibrated to look like the failure or that they are helping the people. It's just like during Ramadan, you put people in oven. The oven is still at 10 degrees and say them that you are helping them to warm them, not knowing that you will eventually kill them. That is how government operates in Nigeria. I've said this several times, and it's still unthinkable that a government that makes petrol at 170 or 180 and 170 and makes Naira at 474 Naira now to dollar. Now it's talking of subsidy. After its failure to manage economy and reduce from 470 to maybe 300 Naira per dollar, rather took it to over 1,500, it's now the one talking of subsidy. It is the